So we are still uh, in a discussion of maintain provisioning settings. So just a recap, we have discussed on data source and what is the importance of data source and how it would help for the access request. In the data source, the user details like first name, last name, the required details, it will be stored in the company network repository. It is getting echo. So with the help of data source, the user details getting populated in the access request, and also same we will be used for search data source and data detail data source and authentication data source. If it is SSO, then we will use the authentication purpose. We will use the same data sources. Generally, companies or HR system now success factor and also portal. But nowadays, everybody is using success factor, and you might hear workday. Workday is another data system, but it is a third party. It is not an SAP system. So there is a possibility for integration through interface for the workday. Mhm, mhm, mhm. No, you are talking about end user verification on the access request page, right? EOP. Uh-huh. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yes, yes, yes. Mhm. LDAP only. Yes, both is the same. LDAP only. Whatever the data source, we are pulling the data from GRC access request. Mhm. Okay. There are couple of points. Okay. First of all, end user personalization page is only, and EUP configuration is only for what are the fields which is required in the access request page. Okay, in case you want to delete or you want to visible or you want to make mandatory, then only we will do EUP configuration, end user personalization configuration, based on the access request page. Okay, are you following me? Okay, now as per the connector configuration, okay, we will conform, we will configure same steps like connector configurations, like mapping the whatever the system mapping integrated to GRC system, and will perform some of the connector configurations like connectors and connector groups, then integration scenario, auth, provisioning, everything. Once that is done, then we will also perform connector group mapping and mapping actions, right? These steps, connector configuration steps, are common for any of the connector. You can take LDAP, you can take SAP system, you can take non-SAP system, logical, everything. But based on the system, if it is SAP system, we won't do connector mapping, group field mapping. Only the external system, apart from SAP system, we will perform the mapping, field mappings, because the structure of the LDAP system, I'm just taking example LDAP. LDAP is external source. The structure of the LDAP system might be different than the SAP system. For this need, we will perform the group field mappings. It may be LDAP, it may be portal, it may be success factor, any of the other system. Because in the SAP system we called as email, but whereas LDAP system we call it as mail. So we just, for the compatibility, we are doing field mapping. Whatever the value in the network LDAP mail, you can consider as email in the SAP system, and the same data will be populated in the access request page email column. Are you okay, Shrikant? Mm-hmm. 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 No, whatever the data source, we're considering LDAP. Yes, yes, LDAP. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, we are not mapping. Suppose if it is a user, then it will be like this only. Okay, okay. No, 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 no. See, for LDAP configuration, we have to do map definitely, because that is external system and data source, right? How, see, your name is Srikant. Somebody will call Shri. Both object name is the same, right? So try to understand. See, the object name is used, but in the LDAP, the object might be called with a different name. So now we are making compatible. These two names are same. Whatever the data in the LDAP, you consider that is a user ID. Even though it is a username, you consider as user ID and populate whatever the user ID columns in access request or tables or anything whenever you are mapping LDAP. Mm-hmm. No. Okay. 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 LDAP map. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Okay. No, we have not imported no that skeleton, because so that is the reason you won't get anything. See, you will get the data, and you will synchronize, and you can select the fields like import or export everything. Okay, this is the place where you are importing skeleton only, LDAP skeleton, right? But your objective is this skeleton needs to be used for access request page, right? Ah, that is that is the reason we are taking AC fields. As soon as you are importing the data LDAP map, then the data will be available in system field. Then you can map. you can map the required fields here, because we are using access request provisioning page and LDAP is the data source. Then we will perform the required field names. We will do the field mapping in this particular screen. Then the object details will be populated in the access request. Now, where is the confusion? No, 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 no. You cannot, you cannot. You can just import the skeleton. In the mapping, you cannot do user mapping and everything here. You need details, complete details in the particular screen. Whatever the fields which is required to map, you can select in this particular screen. Okay. But actually, in the system level, for a GRC perspective, you have to do this is the only choice. Not only LDAP, any particular system, you can do field mapping in this particular screen only. No, no, you cannot, you cannot see here the field names. See, you have to give the parameter value, parameter group. I have sent one block LDAP integration last week. Have you gone through the details? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. No, no, that is a skeleton only. See, whatever the details in the LDAP, that is you are just a skeleton only. You are just selecting what data needs to be exported from LDAP and imported into the SAP system. You have options, right? Import, export, everything for each field. So that is kind of a skeleton. You are importing the data and you are importing to SAP, exporting to SAP system. Choose the field values. Mhm. No, you cannot do. You can manually enter the details like how I have entered, but without a skeleton, you cannot do it. If you are not doing LDAP map, you will not be able to do that. See, by the field names which I have configured in another system, the first name is SN, last name is LN, I think something. So I know the field names. That is the reason just only I have entered here. Okay. But without LDAP map, you cannot do the field mapping. You must configure LDAP. LDAP should be active in the LDAP T code. You have to configure the complete structure. Then only you will be able to see. Otherwise, you can't able to see the data in the access request page. It would be an integration issue. Yeah, the system field name which is coming from LDAP. Yes, yes. And the right side? No, no. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Now we discussed on the SLA, service level agreements. So service level agreements, this is since we are automizing the complete access request management process based on the process ID, we can configure for the SLA. It's on your- Okay. Okay. So did I get option? Hello, Sarji. Hello. Okay. Interesting. Okay. SLA. So based on the process ID, we can fix number of days. Since this we need to discuss with and align with the compliance team. Based on the compliance team, we will fix the each process. What is the SLA period? Let's suppose a firefighter ID, it should be reviewed in 5 days. Okay, 1 day. I'm just going to new entries. Access request. Access request. Here you can select the process ID. Access request. See, we cannot set SLA for the requested type, like a create request, change request. In the access request, it is a combination of create, change, lock, unlock, and firefighter access, even termination or deletion of account. So once we fix the SLA for a fixed number of days, maybe 10 based on the date, then these 10 days will be applicable for the complete access request, not the request type. We cannot set SLA for request type. Just a minute. Sir, can you make it new, please? GRC screen. Can you put it in new GRC? Because we're getting echo. Can you, yeah, sorry. So based on the request process ID, not the request time. Once we fix the number of days, automatically this will be applicable in all the all the requests which are associated, request types which are associated to the process ID. This will be applicable. Even lock account, the SLA would be 10 days. Now, okay, request types. See, as soon as we activated the BC set, the number of request types will be displayed here. but we need to make sure that we need to check action, create user, assign object. So if it is a change user, then the actions would be different. It's a lock user. So we need to make sure the action, what actions we were mapped to the particular account and the process ID. Suppose if we create a um, new account, might be new slash change request. So the process ID, access request. I'm just saving, I'm not activating. So as soon as this is there, then we will not be able to see here. But when we activate, I think I need to refresh. Let me try. So new and change request. And as of now, I have not assigned any actions to this new request type. But so this is a 23. We can add any of the actions. Suppose create user, change user, user defaults, remove. So in case any new requirement which is a part of in our project scope, then we can create. I would say this request type probably for cutover. You can create a separate request for cutover. This request type will use for any of the project requirement, like go live time you can use, and you can provision in the go live time. We need to provision multiple users for like elevator, like there is a list of users we need to provide access. For a technical users we need to provision, and as well as the business users we need to provision at least a few people to do operation. Then later we need to provide the complete submit the request, and also we need to give the demo or step by step documents we will create. Then the users will submit the request on after hypercare, like ongoing maintenance. So this request type will help. We will create a separate workflow path for this, like a no stage workflow path. And this request type we can control grac underscore req type one, I guess, object, authorization object, and which we will maintain the request type 24. We will maintain in only GRC admin or security admin. We cannot provide this access to end users, or might be security firefighter IDs. We can control this. So with this help of cutover request, no stage work, we will use for cutover time. And also in case any UAR or SOD review, we need to remove the roles. We have a blanket approval, like 2000 users, might be we need to remove 100 roles. So each user we will remove roles, and we don't require approval. We will get the compliance clearance and blanket the user versus role matrix. Then we will upload in the access request, like a cutover request, and we will submit the request, start submitting the request. So like this, in such a requirements, any new request types which is required, then we will create the request type and mapping actions will be on priority. Like based on the requirement, we need to check and assign the appropriate actions. Any questions? No, this is belongs to only access request. No? See, rest are all different process IDs. Risk approval, function approval, mitigation control, role approver. We are review and SOD review. Yeah. Mhm. GRSA request type, GRSA request type, REQ type. Yes, yes. Oh, sorry, it's GRSA REQ, not type. GRSA REQ. So the field name is RQTYP. This is the field name. Yes. So this cutover request 24, you can, sorry, 23 or 20, 24, you can maintain in the administrator role only. You can control. But for end user roles, so you can provide only user creation and submit change request or unlock only two or three. For technical roles, we will even provide 06, sorry, 05 EAM access and termination if required. That depends how we are aligned with the auditors. But you can control the authorization object and the field RQTYP. Yes, GRSC requester, GRSC request approver, it has, and GRC admin request administrator, right? You will get that. Probably request administrator, you will get more elevated access, star kind of a star. But in the normal request types, there is a control. These new request types, yeah, sorry. Yes, yes. But the additional, whatever the new request types which we created, right? 23, 24, it won't be there. So whenever you are creating new requests, make sure that you have to create role. I think only administrator you have a star access. But for end user perspective, you won't get it. So whenever you are creating any new request types, make sure that you have to create authorization as well in the role. You have to insert that authorization. No, I have shared the complete role matrix, right? Long back I have shared the firefighter owner, firefighter controller, user. No, no, no. It has. See, if we are assigning, no, no, it's not like that. See, SAP as a predefined. It's not like normal authorizations, but SAP whatever the requester which is required, the underlying authorizations has already provided, like GRAC request types, everything. See, NWBC access, setup access. Hmm. No, that is starting now. Yeah, since we discussed GRC configuration post task, that is one of the tasks. We will create copy of the existing GRC roles to G roles, and we will customize based on the access, and we can customize the G roles based on our requirement. Now everything it is free, na? So we need to change to free apps. We can convert. We have a GRAC, um, the object, web developer application. Only the one web developer application, which has a total around 120 or 130 free apps. So we need to make select appropriate object, semantic object, and semantic action. Then we will develop the free apps. Hmm. That is only access request as well. Access request. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. That's what I showed you. No, no, that's what I have shown you. Hmm. Hmm. No, 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 no. See, that that is that is completely, see, based on your requirement. If you observe the GRAC star, then it is easy understandable. If you required alerts like mitigation control alerts, then you can control with GRAC alerts. That is mitigation control assignment. You can check mitigation control maintenance. There is authorization in that, sorry, role. In this mitigation underscore alert authorization object, we can control. It's the same like whatever the task SU01, it has subsequent authorizations. Similarly, whatever the task in the GRC, based on that, it has a subsequent authorization objects. Everything. You want the list of authorization objects? Hmm. Okay. Uh, no, no, that I understand. See, for to be frank, as of now, SAP has provided the complete custom roles. Okay, standard roles. We are just copying and using based on SAP has only provided the access owner has this much of access, mitigation owner has these many roles. And since from the day one everybody is following. Okay. So no, no, that I understand. But there is a big chapter in GRC 300 for this authorization control. I will share that document. Yeah, GRC 300. There is a separate authorization for this authorization object only, third chapter or fourth chapter. So you can get the same complete GRAC objects with respect to, and what is the purpose of authorization objects? It's same like SO24, how we will learn for each transaction code, whatever the active objects, right? Similarly, a purpose, we will it has a subsequent authorizations is available. And even you can observe the GRAC roles, you can get the same authorizations, similar authorizations, but in terms of combinations. Yeah, it's a very, the scope is very less, right? Scope scope is very less. But I will try to share the document if required. Now moving on to priority. I think this is also a busy set, but as soon as we activated, this is also a process ID based. Suppose if it is, we want to set priority for high, medium, low based on the request to type, whatever the like necessity descriptions which is required, critical, high, medium, low for each request type, sorry, each process ID, we will set it up here. This will be used in case we want to segregate. If the priority of the request to type is high, we need to go to certain levels of approval. We want to uh, like our workflow needs to be diverted based on the priority. In such a case, this will be used, but we cannot create that much complicated in the workflows. But in case we want to make it as this is one of the field, high level, you can go to certain path. If it is medium level, then you can go to certain path. if it is low level, like a default roles, it will be auto approved. So in such a conditions, we will make priority either a role level or a request level. This is based on request level priority. So we discussed employee types like a permanent or contract. Even for employee type level also, we can create a different workflow paths. For associates like a permanent employees of the company, then it will goes to a different workflow. For associates, might be, sorry, for contract employees, might be the process is somewhat lengthy based on the vendors, so it will bypass to the approval path. Then number range, we will define the number range. GRAC access request number, we will create the number range, number range intervals from starting number to ending number, and it will show the status to current request. As of now, 19 requests are submitted. This is a creation of the request. Then it is like this is one set, number one. Then another entry after 20 lakhs might be. Once this is crossed, then number two, 20 lakhs 1 to 40 lakhs probably. We can give the range. So next one is end user personalization. End user personalization is whatever the fields which is required in the access request. For this, we will make active or visible or editable based on the requirement. We will create our own access request page via end user personalization. So by default, busy set we have activated, that is comes with a 999. If you want, we can copy the 999 and we create with custom authorizations in case any additional requirements which is required in the access request. So any questions? Apply types, number range, individual personalization. Mhm. Mhm. No, it's a number only. No, that actually I want to show the workflow. I will show it in the workflow because it might be go to a different topic. But okay, since okay, 1 minute. Okay, right now might be some issue. I'm not able to open the workflow. Are you able to see the UPID? Okay. See, if it is a triple nine is a standard one. In case you will create any UPID for a approval purpose, manager stage or role owner stage, we will maintain in the UPID field, either manager or role owner stage. We have a facility, we can maintain UPID, but by default, it will during the request submission, it will take time. But for a particular stage, you can maintain our own custom UPID. Okay, but that we will as soon as we will reach workflow, we will discuss more details. Okay, configuration of role search attributes. See, similarly for UP fields, SAP has provided the role search fields. Like here, it's like a role search criteria for end user personalization. I'm not talking about role search. Like I'm not use the end user personalization, but it's a similar same like role search attributes. You can customize and you can maintain some for companies any default values. You can maintain these fields. This is a new feature which SAP has provided in the latest support pack level, might be 10.117 or 18. So this is one kind of role search criteria here. In case of any default values or any suppose system, you want to make it a system should be displayed as default when you open the screen, then it will display. So you want to configure in role search criteria attributes. Maintain provisioning settings. We'll discuss this and probably will close today. Maintain provisioning settings. Here we have a two options. One is a system provisioning and global provisioning. Okay. First we will go to global provisioning. Okay. In the global provisioning, we have direct type, indirect type. See, when it is HR, we want to assign roles to position. Then in this case, we will select indirect. If it is normal direct user ID, then we can select always direct. If it is indirect type, then either a job, position or organization type. We can select based on the. So in the provisioning options, there are five options are available. One is auto provisioning at end of the request. So why we want to set auto provisioning settings? Because as soon as the approvals are completed, like a manager, role owner, and compliance, then the request will complete. So at the end of the request means considering whatever the workflow stages, once it is completed everything, then only the request will be approved. If we select the first option. Second option, auto provisioning at the end of each part. Suppose you requested for multiple roles, like process one role or to process one role. Then once it crosses manager role owner or might be role owner has two different parts because P2P approver is different, R2R approver is different. Then as soon as P2P approver completed, then the request will be completed, like the role will be assigned and it will wait for the R2R approval. Once the R2R approval approved, then the request will be provisioned. The role will be assigned. Like it cannot wait for the until the next action, dependent action. It will go on each path. As soon as it is approval completed, the necessary approvals completed for the particular role, automatically it will get assigned. And the second one, it will wait for the till approval. Once the approval is completed, then the role will be assigned in the each part. But whereas the first one, even though it will the P2P approver approved, it cannot assign the role. It will wait for the till R2R approval confirmation, either approval or reject. Then only it will assign at the end of the request. Any questions? At end of the request. End of the request. Yes. And no provisioning. No provisioning. Why we will set no provisioning means some companies they will use GRC for only approval process, but they will do normal operations. Like they will do our security operations. Like in this, they will use the below three options. That is one scenario. Second scenario might be during cutover or system might be retire, ongoing maintenance. This will set us no provisioning. Might be jersey 10 right now, 10.1 we are using. So now we are migrating the completed data into GRC 12. So GRC 12, we have developed a separate embedded system S4 HANA with GRC. So now all the system integration and everything completed with GRC 12. But GRC 10 only for audit purpose, they keep it active. So in this case, the system is, it cannot provision anything. So in such a scenario we will use no provisioning, means the operations will not perform using this GRC system. And manual provisioning with automation is same, like sometimes some companies they will use um, everything will be manual operations, like a security team just only for audit purpose, manager and role owner will approve, security team will assign the roles. So in such a scenario we can do manual provisioning, but manual provisioning is the same like a system provisioning. We will use the options. As soon as we will maintain any system, that kinds of that system is a local system. Generally for any non-SAP systems, system provisioning option. System provisioning means the approvals will be used GRC tool, but security team last stage security team will perform manual operation. So in such a case we will use the system. Mhm. Mhm. That's what I'm saying. See, for global provisioning is applicable for all the systems, but any specific system, it is a local kind of a some requirement which is called a local. Like in case of any such as requirements for particular system, then it system provisioning setting, connector based. For generally that is used for non-SAP systems. Sorry. Mm-hmm. 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 No, no, no. We'll discuss. Wait. That there are multiple scenarios. If it is you are using um, SSO, the case will be different. If it is even you are saying that RJ10 parameter I have maintained, right? The RJ parameter is see this is a normal local system. So somebody has maintained that, but ideally it will not work. There are so many scenarios uh, for the password expiration. Okay, create user if does not exist. So there are checkbox for change user action, for assign role action. So both are checked. Create user if does not exist. So earlier this option was not there, but SAP has introduced this option. Why? Because sometimes end user I have created a new and change request. Generally most of the companies they have started this. Instead of this, SAP has provisioned um, this option. The scenario is most of the end users what they will do mistake, they directly submit change account instead of new account. Even though they have submitted first time, they submit change account. They will select role and they will be able to submit. There is no restriction to submit the request. User does not exist in the, because we are mapping LDAP and LDAP user account is created, all the details getting pulled into the system. Later it was there was a parameter we can check the validation, user account is not exist in the system, so we need to submit the new account. There are different alternatives, but As soon as end user submitted change account, it will cross the manager role owner path SOD, but it will fail the user does not exist in the system. So consider if the approval taking place at least 3 to 4 days, the user lost the time and whatever we have invested money for the GRC system, because as soon as we automate the complete process to reduce the time and to make flexible for users, that was not happening. So in such a case, SAP has introduced this option. Once the approval is completed, then it will check if user does not exist. Even though user does not exist, it will automatically create for a change user action and assign the role. If the two options were selected, it will automatically create the user. That is internal logic. It will create the user and assign the roles. For that purpose only, this was introduced. And account validation check. Here you can check if you want to submit one request. Like suppose again end users will do mistake, even though they have a create account, every time they will go and submit a new account. So for that purpose we can at least give warning, user account does not exist or user account. If it is a change account, then user account does not exist. If it is user account is exist, then new account, user account is already existed in the system. So it's a kind of a warning or error, whatever it may be. We can give the message. And as soon as you are setting the parameter, make sure that 2051 there is an interlink. 2051 parameter is interlinked for the account validation. So you have to check 2051 parameter and this parameter both. So role assignment provisioning effective immediately. So as the approval process completed, then you have to select the provisioning effective immediately. Once the approval completed, then automatically the roles will assign, users will be created and roles will be assigned in the S4 HANA system. So as soon as you have selected this checkbox, then only the roles will be assigned. The provisioning effective will be completed. Otherwise, it won't assign the roles, even though the approvals are completed. This is not required. A role delimitation. This is based on BRM concept, but it won't required for the ARM. If in case BRM and ARM, then there is a role delimit period and months. So every time it is getting reminder, we need to extend the roles. Password expiration. Password expiration. See, as soon as nowadays every company has created SSO, single sign-on operation. So as soon as a single sign-on operation, then user account must be deactivated in the network. So they will be logged into the portal. They won't require any SAP GUI screen. But even though some users they require, then you can applicable for, like Srikant said, might be if it is a production system, there is a compliance requirement within the 2 days you need to change the password. If you want to send the password, then the password visible time might be 1 hour or something, based on seconds. You can set for that. But right now are not used because of SSO. The below password or send email password, everything. It will not be used nowadays. because of SSO. So the same options, but here only target connect. Additionally, whatever the system, we will maintain the system for local system. Any questions?